Are we live? Guys, girls, let me know if you can see me and hear me. Okay, there we go. Good Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you're doing well. Sorry about all that. I usually use StreamYard, and it was glitching terribly, and I had to go into the YouTube studio and just do a manual webcam stream. And even that glitched for a minute, but it looks like it's up now. I just won't have the ability to put stuff on screen. Hopefully, I can see super chats and everything like that. But Wesley, Kevin, Lawrence, Drolando, Dalen, Hot Wax, Michael, Quentin, Lyle Brewer, what's up, my friend? Good to see you there. Man, I wish I could click that and put you on the screen, but I can't. How's everybody doing out there? I wanted to come on here. I've been on vacation with 5 families in the Outer Banks for a while. 25 people, 15 kids, absolute lunacy. That's why I haven't streamed in a little bit. But now I'm back, so I wanted to jump on here and see how everybody's doing. So please, if you have any guitar-related questions, anything at all, please drop it in there, and I will be here for a little bit. Zach Richardson with $5. Thank you so much, Zach, because I just want to say thank you for making me better. I've been watching for years, man. Zach, I appreciate you. The feeling is mutual. All right. Yeah, Pop J, great time. Just Assy, got any tips for learning complex vocal runs? Thinking of the warm of a glass of brandy line from Tennessee whiskey. Yeah, okay, that's really, really hard because you can have, I think that's an A. There's all those little vocal inflections, which a fretted instrument is really not going to be able to get. The closest you'll be able to get is playing slide. So if you listen to, Derek Trucks and people like that who really focus in on vocal lines, you'll hear so little tiny incremental things that you're just not going to get between frets, because right in here you can get 1, 2, 3, right? Root, second, third, and back down, and you could have 15 different little nuances in there if you didn't have frets. So what I recommend to get a feel for, getting close to something like that is to realize that your run, and I'm using just a simple 1 to a 3 little run and back down. That's like your guideline. The goal is there's your melody. But in and around all of those, you can play any note as color. And that's what a lot of voices do. And what you would do with slide or like a horn instrument, right? So you'll see me do stuff like this a lot, like. And so you notice I played everything from, right? So only 3 of the notes are in scale. Everything else is just little color and nuance. So I would encourage you to say this melody is this line, but then get a feel for those little notes in between. And you don't have to think about all the theory. You don't got to go crazy about it. Just know that all those little other things in the middle, those are just little stopping points. But as long as you stay focused on your starting and ending, your resolution, you can make any note work. And that's what a lot of those crazy vocal runs have in them that we can only imitate with frets. Okay. Pop Jake, sub from the Kendrick Lamar video. Keep it up, man. Stay awesome. I appreciate that. Kendrick, one of the best live bands in the game. I mean, that really knocked my socks off. Ms. Peepus Girl, thank you for the donation. John 5, Paul Gilbert, or Buckethead, most skilled. Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say who's the most skilled, but my favorite of those three is John 5, by a lot. Mostly because of his playing. If you guys didn't know that he's a monster picker, now you know. John 5 is a monster picker. Go check it out. Bo Cardwell, thank you so much for the donation. Appreciate you jumping on. Just your monthly Eddie Brown River People reminder. Any tips? Yes. Any tips on remembering the 7 modes? I feel like a piece I'm missing to level up. So here's the trick here's the thing with modes. You can allow yourself to go down the rabbit hole as far as you will allow yourself. It's an endless rabbit hole with depths that will go on forever. Okay. What I would encourage you to do is think about why you would use modes in practical applications, why they exist, why you would use them, why it's important. And the answer to that question is to spell out the chords that you're playing over. So, if you're just playing an A minor, of course you can play regular A minor. You can play A Dorian, right? So the answer, or Phrygian, right? So the answer is why would I choose one or the other? Well, if you're playing over a static chord, you can choose any flavor you wish. But the reason people use modes in different places is because the chords dictate it. The chords dictate. So if I have an A minor to a D minor, I know I'm going to be playing A Aeolian because the F is in there, right? Oh, yeah. But if I have an A minor to a D major, right? Now I know immediately that this A minor is probably a 2 chord, and this D major is probably a 5 chord. But the point is that you now have an F sharp. So when you're playing this, you're going to hear that one note different because the difference between each mode is only one note that changes. And that's basically always the third of some chord. And so the reason you would choose one mode over the other is because there's something about the other chord that dictates it. That's why I preach third hunting, because if you know where the third is for every chord that you're changing to, it's gonna answer 90% of your questions, and you don't have to think about I'm doing this whole mode up and down. I'm literally just thinking about the chord that I'm playing over and just connecting those chord tones. That's the goal that I like to strive to get to, and I would encourage you to as well. Okay. Oh, BJ Parmalee along the similar thing. So what's this? Where's home in this chord progression? He's got D major 7, C sharp minor 7, and A. It's A. So this is 4, 3, 2, 1. So you can choose to put the emphasis however you can. Have it be on that D major 7. You can have it be on B minor 7. And what you would do, like for that example, you'd be in B minor 7, and you don't necessarily need to think about all the different modes or whether you're in Dorian so much. Just that you're coming from the key of A major, and all the notes that are in there, and you're just paying attention. You're selling and you're connecting, you're making lines based on this B minor being your focal point. It's almost like the same question as before. All right. Hamad, thank you for the donation. Says, good afternoon. Would you be able to explain how this progression 1, flat 3, flat 7, 4 works? All right. So, like if we're 1, we'll keep it in A. A major, flat 3 would be. I'm assuming these are all major now. You're not specifying major or minor. And then flat 7 would be G major, and 4 would be D. So again, this is the point of the past two questions. Let's say, for example, you actually have this progression: 1, flat 3, flat 7, 4, and they're all major chords. Whatever it is, okay? You got to figure out how to make it sound right. What you're going to do here, if you're always resolving back to A, you want to hear A as home base, okay? So if you're at major here, now when it goes to C major here, if you want to keep A home base, you still think A, but instead of C sharping, you just regular C. So now you're firmly in A minor, okay? So you got. Then when you go to G, what is the third of G? That is B. So anytime you can hang on that and pull it back to 1, you're really going to sell this change to G, aside from just playing an actual G note. And then, of course, when it goes to D, focus on that F sharp, because that's the third D, and that will squarely bring your ear back around to A major. So it would be something like this. I don't know. It doesn't sound exactly right. Like the progression, the rhythm and the way they're connecting isn't exactly how I would do it. But anyway, that's how I would tackle it. I would find a way to bring each one back to A and focus on the third that changes on each one. Anyhow, let's keep going. Oh, let's see. Larry from Kansas City, Missouri. What's happening? Oh, let's see here. Peyton Darnell. This is a good one. Love the content. How would you suggest starting a band for beginners? Okay. If you're a total stone cold beginner, you got to start with like 3 easy songs, a few chords, and find a buddy to play with. Preferably just like one, in my opinion. Because if you're like really, really a beginner, one thing you don't want to have is this feeling like you're holding people back, uh, or everybody's better than you, or anything like that. You really want to come at this from like a place of complete enjoyment. So have a friend that you hang out with that's also a beginner, that you can pick some tunes with and not stress out too much about it. Once you get comfortable playing with somebody, then really just finding a local jam session, a local group. Um, it depends. If you live in a really rural area, it's hard, but there's a lot of places that you can find something. If you belong to any local clubs or any organizations, maybe try to put something together that's really low key. But you most of the time, if you're really just like a total beginner, try to find one friend that's also kind of early, on the path, and try to work out stuff together as simple as can be, and just have fun with it. All right, Morker, thanks for the donation. Says, love the channel. I don't play instruments, but I would love to. If I start playing bass guitar, so I start with a 4 or 5 string, 4 string. If you're a total beginner, make it easy on yourself. 4 string, absolutely. Yes, Fishing Idaho on a Harley. Thank you so much for putting a link to the website. For all you out there that are not subscribed to my website, all of my courses are on guitargate.com. It's one price for the subscription, for all the courses. So they're not like all sold individually. You also get access to the Reacts request page, which is how I pick the next Reacts video, and access to the Discord, which is private, and the whole community where you can upload videos and ask questions. If you want to support the channel, that's the very best way. And that is how I make a living. And that is, that is just, my professional. I'm really proud of it. So if you're looking for another resource, or more really just like a community, really think about that and check it out. The first level is completely free, the beginner level. So you get a feel for the vibe. So anyway, thank you so much for dropping that in the comments, mods. Okay. So Jeremy, yes, stoked for Goose in Maryland. Absolutely. Absolutely. Duster 71, Zapper or Hendrix. Hendrix all day. Zachary Stank, love the channel. Been playing for a long time. Just started to pick up lead. Found that I'm very robotic in my solos. How do I sound more expressive in the box? It's the advice I give whenever this stuff comes out. Learn vocal lines. Learn the melody. Don't just learn guitar parts. Learn the melody to every song that you learn. Like literally what the voice is singing. That's that, and to start with basic 1, 2, 3. Simple. That's so much different than. Because when you do this, you go up and down one string and focus on just simple, like 3-note jumps. You're forced to work on your sustain, your vibrato. Because you're going up and down one string and you got to feel it vibrate. So that's my advice. Learn the actual melody to tunes, and whenever possible, go up and down on the same string. Okay. Ewan Dobson. I don't know who that is, Pat's Award, but I appreciate the donation. I will add it. Mike Bradley. There he is. the sexy beast himself. How you doing, my friend? See, we're always on different time zones. We never get to catch up. I hope you're doing well. I can't wait to the next time we trade some licks in. Anybody out there that has to follow Mike Bradley, check mark in there. Follow him. He's a hell of a player, an even better person. Oh, Mark M. Daniel Guerra. Do I have any Yeti products? I do not. Let's see. Oh, Robert Bragg. Love your work. My first time on the live cast. Hey, welcome. Welcome. Bill Villa Music. Any tips for playing solo over seventh chords? Yes. I love this question. Here's the thing. Let's say you are playing B minor 7. It can be very easy for you to just say B minor pentatonic. Even B minor 7, when you make the root go down to a whole step to the flat 7. That note, that A, is still in B minor pentatonic. It's in the full B minor scale. So that's too much information, right? It doesn't say much about this change. So what do? You realize that what actually happens in a seventh chord is you have two triads. You know how I drive home the point of connecting triads and chord tones, melodies of triads over chord tones. So B minor is the 1 flat 3 5, right? Now the flat 3 is the F. The D rather. But what if I looked at the second triad? What if I looked at the D, A, F sharp as its own triad, the flat 3 5 and flat 7? That's a D major triad. So you have a B minor triad on the bottom and a D major triad on the top. So if you want to sell the minor seventhness of B minor, D major is the answer to your questions. It's true. So that what will happen there is if you start thinking like that, like, oh, I'm going to play a piece of B minor, right? But then if I choose to focus on the D majorness of it, all of a sudden it becomes this brighter thing that really sounds like that. It sounds like that upper triad. It does, it just does. As opposed to, right? And obviously, I don't have a loop pedal set up or something where I can hold a static chord. But if B was ringing out through both of those, what would really sound more like a flats, more like a minor seventh? It would sound like that upper triad. There you go. Okay. Michael, when you start riffing at the beginning of your review, this is JB, by the way. I know what you're doing, but can you explain for others the simple theory behind that? Every single time it's random, but as you all well know, we all have our habits and our proclivities and things that we always do, and we always feel like we always play the same stuff. But generally speaking, when I play little riffs of intros, I try to keep it short, but sometimes we go on tangents. But essentially, I'm always kind of thinking the same stuff, just intervals and letting it ring out and just seeing where I go. So like, it might be a little E major thing. I might decide to jump up to the next position, just great little melodies. I mean, that's kind of what I like to think in terms of intervals and melodies and triads. So I like when at the beginning of videos, I like to let things ring out and sustain and kind of just feel what the guitar is doing that day, but not actually craft something. Probably should craft something, but I don't. Hamad, welcome to the support. Welcome to the club. Thanks for being a supporter. Really appreciate you. Yes, again, Fishing Idaho and a Harley and the other mods. Thank you for plugging the channel. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, please hit subscribe. It really helps me. Okay, let's see. What do we have here? Vance Hunter. What is that guitar? This is a PRS Silver Sky. Let's see. Why is dialing a guitar tone so much harder than learning the part? I don't try to learn. I don't try to match other people's guitar tone. I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't speak to that. To my detriment, actually. Depending on how you look at it, I, I, I only try to get my amps and everything to get the feeling I want for me out. As crazy as this might sound, I've never made any attempt ever to sound like somebody else or figure out how somebody else got that sound. I only try to get what I hear in my head out, and it's almost entirely to do with feel over sound. Sustain, vibrato, dynamics reign absolutely supreme for me. Nothing else is really even close. I do this because of how it feels. Like it feels like harnessing your electricity, and that's what I'm into. I really don't. I really don't think about um, tone and sound much. I just want to. I just really want to feel like I'm a conduit and the channel is wide open. Um, let's see here. Is there a good way to incorporate learned licks into an actual solo? James, absolutely. So we all have licks, and pick your genre. We all have favorite ones. Here's what I would encourage you to do. Try a lot, but make a concerted effort to go back and forth between guitar-centric licks and playing melodies. Like I do it, and on purpose. And I feel like this really gets to the core of why different guitar players sound differently. Each have like a different mix of how completely guitar centric something is, and something that could be a voice or any other instrument. And so we have so many licks on guitar, which could only be on guitar, but then we can mimic anything else, specifically a voice. So I like to do that and force myself. I'm gonna do 4 bars of this and 4 bars of that. So I might do like you know what I mean? Like it's kind of sloppy and all over the place, but you should be able to hear very clearly when I'm doing a guitar thing and when I'm doing something that is single notey that could be played by a horn or any other instrument. And so I always think about that and try to strike a balance. And when I catch myself doing too much of one thing, I switch it out. And you'll remember, you'll keep the licks that work and the ones that don't, throw them out. You know? All right. Oh, Night Spectrum. Howdy says, I'm just beginning to fully learn the notes on the fretboard, but I feel like I'm being held back by not having a PRS. Got any tips? Yeah. You guys aren't going to like this answer either. I don't think the guitar is meaningful, really. The brand, the make, or the model. Certainly, good instruments help good players play better, but uh, but I mean, the gear is not nearly as important as learning the instrument, frankly. Um, but you all know this. I mean, that's obvious. So yeah, learn the notes, learn the shapes. I'm a firm advocate of this cage system. It's what I teach on my website because it gets people over the initial hurdles quicker, and it allows you to reach your goals quicker. And most people quit because they never reach their goals in a time frame they expected or ever. And so getting over the initial hurdles is a very important thing, and that's why I preach that. So learn the cage system, and then you'll know that there's 5 spots for everything, and you can play in any key all over the neck, and then grow from there. Right. Yeah, I know it's a silly joke. Let's see. Vandy Man, how are you, sir? Hope you're doing well. Getting back to normal slowly. That's good. That's good. Vance Hunter. All right. Jay Brett, any tips or fills for the 4 chord? I have plenty of licks in sus 2 and 4 in the 1, but doesn't work as well in the 4. Our friend Rick Beato has a video on this, basically saying that the hardest chord to solo over is the 4 chord. And for those of you that have been a member of the community for a long time are going to know what I'm going to say. And the trick to it is knowing that the 6 is your 4. What does that mean? It means that the 6th degree of your scale is the 3rd of your 4 chord. I'll say that again. It's very simple, but for those of you that are not used to talking in theory lingo, it might confuse you. But if you're in A major and you're playing the A major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the 6 is the 3rd of your 4 chord. And when you go to that, that's how you spell it out. This is like the first major link to getting out of the regular pentatonic world, right? And you start adding something in that isn't just the 5-note pentatonic. Because remember, a pentatonic is meant to remove the half steps in the scale. And so you don't have a 6. But the 6 is the most important note in the 4 chord because it's the 3rd of the 4 chord. And there's no note that's more important than the 3rd because that's what creates the function of the chord. So if you're in A minor and you got a lick, and you go to your 4 chord, and let's say it's D minor, you play all that same stuff. You're not hearing anything that has to do with D minor. It works because you're not playing anything wrong. But even if you play a D, like if I'm in A minor, play a D, and I focus on the D, it works. But if you don't hammer the 3rd somewhere, not that you have to do it every time, but if you hammer the 3rd, you say the most you can about that change. So the goal is always, in my mind, when practicing improvisation, is can you hear the chord changes without accompaniment? Can you clearly tell that you're going to the 4? And so if you don't have the 3rd in there, it's never going to be as clear as if you do. So if you're in A minor, D minor, like right away, you can hear I'm focusing on. I'm focusing. There's that 6, right? That's the flat 3 of my 4 chord. I'm focusing right on that bad boy, you know? That's it in a nutshell. Your 6 is your 4. That's it. Okay. What else we have here? Oh, got a super chatter. Isaiah E. Thank you for the donation. Says, been playing for 7 years. Being 17 is hard. Hey, good job starting at 10. It's hard to find gigs and venues. any tips on getting yourself out there, finding spots? At 17, it's hard, brother, because depending on where you live, you're not going to be able to go out to bars and clubs. Certainly not late or by yourself. But next year, unless it's a 21 and over club, um, you'll be able to. Now, you should be able to go to stuff during the day, depending where you live. But honestly, if you want to play for a living or just have fun, if you want to do it and get out there with people, the best thing to do is to actually get out there with people and see the bands that are in your town, get a feel for the scene, talk to people. And you'll find that so many people, virtually all of us, got our start that way. We started going out to shows, talked to people that were playing shows, let people know that we wanted to play a show. And eventually, somebody's going to have somebody need a sub and they'll give you a shot, or someone's going to want to start something, or they'll let you come and sit in, or you'll meet somebody that has something else going on. But the point is, musicians are a group. Posting on Craigslist and in or online or anything else like that is really not going to get you with. I shouldn't say never, but it's a much better choice to actually go meet people in person, because if you practice all the time. So here's a great example. If you don't know who Daniel Donato is, um, um, he's been on this channel. He invited me to sit with him. He came through Baltimore. He's a killer country player in Nashville. At 14 or something like that, he started going to the Nashville out in the scene, right? And again, so many bars and clubs wouldn't let him in, wouldn't let him play. So he'd busk on the street or do whatever, but he'd always go and he'd meet these bands, the people that were playing. And he kept going to this one spot over and over again that he liked, Roberts, and this band that he liked because it was a style he wanted to play, and it's where all like the head cutters played. And kept telling the people there and the guy that ran the band, like, hey, I know I'm young, but if you ever need somebody, I can do this gig. I can do it. And for like, I think he said 2 or 3 years, he did that. And like his dad would take him, drop him off on Broadway, and bring him back. And like he it would like, but eventually someone needed a sub. They let him play. He crushed it. He was probably your age, maybe even younger. And it grew from there. Eventually, that guitar player left the band, and they let Daniel join the band. I don't even think he was drinking age. So that stuff happens. But you have to, one, be really on your game, like in practice all the time. So when opportunity strikes, you take your opportunity and you crush it. And so immediately you're on somebody's radar. And two, you have to put yourself out there constantly and not just on the keyboard. You got to go out and see music, see who's playing, because you also want to know who you want to play with and what you want to play, and you want to try different things. It's all part of it. At the end of the day, you're talking live music, so get out there. That's it. Cashew, how are you? It's been a long time, my friend. What time do we have? Ooh, okay, I got some time. Any tips on starting out as a guitar teacher? Um, well, stand by. All right, where are we? I gotta make sure my wife knows that I'm streaming, because they just fire off messages all the time. Okay. So when I came back from California at GIT and I was looking for my first teaching gig, it's very similar to getting a gig. And a lot of my gigs came from the people I worked with as a teacher. And so I'm assuming you're talking about teaching in person. But I highly recommend going to music stores. You probably have mom and pops where you're from. The smaller, the better. Not the big chains, not Guitar Centers or Music and Arts or all those things. They're talking about local people. And depending on your skill level, be completely honest with them or whatever you teach. I can tell you wholeheartedly that when I worked at a place called Mike's Music in Ellicott City, they, unlike a lot of music schools um, or private lessons places, they really valued the character of, I shouldn't say unlike others, but it was adamant. It was very clear that the cornerstone of their hiring was, do you care? Are you good with kids? Are you good with parents? Are you honest? Are you going to be encouraging to the student? Or is this going to be something where the student is excited to come to every week, um, and that you have their best interest at heart? As opposed to, you're a monster player, you have this amazing curriculum, you play in these big bands, and so I say that to say, if you haven't taught before, man, don't be afraid to be straight up with the owners of the place and just say, "Hey, listen, I haven't done this before, but I'm going to be great with beginners. I just I know exactly what worked for me. I was a beginner for so long and blank, 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 blank. And you got a guy for this, you got a girl for that, whatever. But if you want someone to get started, just to throw beginners to, I will do everything I can to help these kids out. That will mean a lot to the owners of the schools. That is the truth. Um, don't try to be something you're not. Just say, hey, I want to teach. I want to get into it. I would be great for your beginners. And 90% or 80% of the people that come through their doors are going to be beginners. And good owners of stores will hook up students and teachers thinking about their personality types more than anything else, and not try to teach the same thing. All right. So, song note, David Potts, how are you, my friend? Good to see you out there. Cashew, thanks for sharing that podcast with Daniel Donato. That was awesome. Dizzy Dad, how are you? How are you? Brian, are you going to local shows coming up? Yeah, I'm going to Nora Jones on Saturday here in Baltimore. I am going to Keith Urban. I'm taking my aunt and my dad, my wife, and his wife, who just retired. We're going to kind of celebrate her retirement. She's a huge Keith Urban fan. Um, let's see, what else am I going to? I'm going to Goose. I'm going to the Outlaw Festival. Um, I know there's more. I'm just drawing blanks. I know there's more. Okay. Callum, I appreciate that. I'm inspired by all of you guys, pushing me. I've said it many times on here that one of the main reasons I do this is so you push me too. It all goes both way. Um, yeah, Mr. Tonic, heavy hitters for sure. I've been waiting to see Nora Jones for a long time, and Keith Urban, you know, just like John Mayer, is very easily put into the category of this pop star, um, because of the songs that they write and how it's all packaged, and who they are and what they do, right? But that dude's a serious guitar player, and he's going to have a serious band, and I'm excited to see. I'm always excited to see super pros, like super pros. Um, it's always good to look at uh, touring bands through that lens. Um, Sometimes it's great to have fully improv. You don't know what's going to happen. Uh, Jam stuff, country stuff, jazz stuff. Things are, a song could be 6 minutes or 12 minutes or whatever. It's also equally awesome to see uh, really, really well done shows that are just, they couldn't be tighter, and it's just uber professional, just the best in the business. And so that's what I expect from both of those. Completely different genres and different worlds, but like Nora Jones's band, I mean, you're talking about a really, really professional group of players. Like, they all play with her because they choose to, right? Like they could all be with anybody else. Think about that. All right. Uh let's see. Let's see. The Bridge was a great Maryland band. Hell yeah, they were. Gambone was a great friend of mine. He was a killer drummer. Daniel Guerra, could you do a quick pitch for someone looking to purchase your courses? What makes them different or helpful? Any selling points at all? Always happy to. It's always interesting to me that I always meet people and they don't know that that I don't make a living on YouTube. YouTube's how people find out about me, but I really make a living selling courses on my website because I don't talk about it much. I need to talk about it more. I need to be comfortable with it. So you teed it up. Basically, what's different, to be totally honest, isn't so much the curriculum. Yes, it is an extremely boiled down practical curriculum to how you learn this, how you learn the notes, the chords, the triads, the melodies, and how to connect them all. I call it a practical application of theory on the fretboard. My ear was not good. I used theory to teach my mind and my body how to get my ear to catch up, right? And so it's practical. So it's what you can expect to use in gigs in real life. Like you can tell from this lesson, I say stuff like the 6 is your 4. It's like one specific thing. So it's a whole collection of courses that are just each one of those light bulb moments for me. But what really, in my opinion, sets it apart is that I chose to build a community. I chose to make a membership as opposed to selling one-off courses so that people could log on, see other people working on things that they're working on, see other people struggle, help other people overcome things, ask questions, because you can post videos completing lessons, right? And that encourages you to pick this thing up more than you otherwise would. It's just like when you go to a school in person, there's the accountability of you're paying for it, you're going there, and you get the instruction, but it's seeing the other people do the same thing and realizing that, yeah, they're doing it too. I can do it. And so you choose to do it more because you see other people doing it more. It's that simple. And so that's the main thing that you'll find from from GuitarGate that you won't find in many other offerings is that it's like it's a real community with people posting videos and asking questions in a safe place. All the moderators that you see on here are there. There's no negativity allowed. It's all positive. And it's all about finding new music and keeping the guitar in your hand and being happy about it and helping other people. That's it. There's my little pitch. I appreciate it giving me the opportunity to talk about it. Song notes. Yeah, David Potts. The student videos section always blows my mind how active the community is in the best way. It makes me so happy, and and that's really what I wanted. I wanted to build something that had the similar effect of going to a music school, but online, and that's it in a nutshell. Because the curriculum is the same. You take mine, and you're going to get what I learned at GIT, combined with what I learned being a teacher in person and what I learned about actually using stuff practically, gigging for a living for almost a decade. You're going to get that, right? And you could get that, or maybe not anywhere because it comes to me, but the information is, a C chord's a C chord, right? What you really get is the effect that you get when you're around good people, like good people that like good music. That's what it's built around. So, YouTube does not pay my bills. GuitarGate pays my bills, and so that's it. Enough. Just play something, Professor. Okay. All right. Oh, more issues with the internet. Tell me that's not the case. Okay. JD, how do your courses help with a bad ear? Discussed it already, man. Happy to talk about it again. Everybody learns differently. I made a whole video on this that I would encourage you to check out. But basically, some people have really good ears, and for harmony and theory. Some people have really good ears for rhythm and melodies and dynamics, but most of us don't have a good ear for all of it. If you were like me, you don't have a good ear for pitch and chord recognition, harmony in general. Learning basic music theory, teach yourself what you should be hearing. Your ear will catch up to it because you'll be training your ear. Oh, that's a root. That's a third. That sounds whatever. So learning what you should hear, you can teach your ear to hear it. So many people have the other issue, which is they can hear pitch pretty well. They can hear a melody and go on a piano or whatever and find the notes, but they really struggle with the rhythm. Completely other thing, right? So we're all different, we're all unique, and that's all good. But that's how theory helps your ear. You don't have a good one for harmony and pitch recognition. You can teach yourself that, oh yeah, there's only 7 notes in any key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. This is what each one sounds like. You practice it, and eventually your ear will recognize, oh, that's a root for sure. That's a 4. Oh, that's definitely a 4. And you get used to it, but you're guiding your ear along. Okay. Oh, yes, Rodney. Consistency is key. Practice every day. That's exactly right. What's that famous quote? It is. I keep it on my computer over here. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. That is the absolute truth. No matter what you're trying to improve on, whether it's guitar, or work, or your marriage, your relationship with your kids, or anything else like that, we are creatures of habit. Create those habits and stick to it. Make the habit lead you towards the place where you'd like to be, and you'll get there. But we are what we repeatedly do, for better or worse. Ain't that the truth? All right. Patrick K, how do you mute the high strings with palm? Don't really. So, yeah, I don't. You just with the fingers. Like if I'm down here, I'm always keeping like this little clutch. Again, because I'm a hybrid picker, I'm always anchoring to deaden the string noise here. Very rarely is the palm going past the 4th string. I'm trying to think of a situation where I would do that. Like, no, I wouldn't do that. That doesn't seem to make sense for me. Callum Waite, again, I have a question. I'm learning these shapes and patterns for standard tuning. I'm wondering how you learn all the positions for different tuning. Seems very complicated. It is. One of the beauties about playing alternate tunings is that you're forced to just follow sound and figure out shapes from scratch. Guaranteed, to play things that you otherwise wouldn't, because there's no muscle memory or very limited muscle memory, and you're forced to explore just tonally. It's a great exercise for anybody. But you'll also find that what happens is that people who really, really commit to open tunings or any type of alternate, but especially like slide players, again, think they're trucks. If you're if you're a committed slide player and you basically stay in an open tuning, those guys really don't go back to standard or drop or anything else. They pretty much in there and they learn the whole guitar like that. Um, so that's its own thing. If you wanted to be that strict with it, but yeah. All right, hold on real quick. Let me see. See if she needs me. Probably gonna have to go in a second. Okay. Black Forest. Is it hard to understand classical music for playing better solos? No, but yes. I love classical music. The thing that I really love about classical music is the sense of free-flowing timing. I love the phrasing that you get. How tempos can speed up and change in the middle of a line, right? Um, that is just that is a beautiful thing. Just knowing that no matter how addicted to groove you might be, that I am, like we all are, and that everything's on the one. Knowing that you can choose to float in and out of that and then land it, that's something that I'm reminded of every time I listen to classical music. That is a classical music thing, where we don't it's the exact opposite of being on the grid. Aside, and that's just talking about, the dynamic and rhythm wise. I mean, there's so many things you can take from classical music. I love classical music. I especially when like stuff like harmonic minor. I mean that is just like I mean, I love that stuff. Okay. All right. What else do we have in here? Jack Patterson starting the beginner module today. Excellent. Appreciate that. I'm gonna have to wrap it up. Looks like I am needed for soccer practice at 5:00. It's 30 minutes away. All right, I'll do one more. Naman, bluegrass hit me like a truck recently and been practicing my flat picking. However, it's mostly Tony Rice and Billy String stuff. Any other artist you recommend checking out? The person that did it for me was Doc Watson. I know that's not traditional strict bluegrass. Obviously, get your Bill Monroe CD. Start with the Bill Monroe CD. But for me, it was really Doc Watson. He was the one that really got me hooked in that world. And while he didn't always flat pick, he was a monster flat picker. But he also did, thumb and first finger. Yeah, Bill Monroe, traditional stuff, but then Doc Watson for sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to go to soccer. I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button. If you're watching and unsubscribed, please hit it. It helps a big deal. And again, if you'd like to support the channel, if you're looking for a community to join, and if you just want to jump in here with everybody else, please hit the first link. I don't even know if it's in the description. Go to guitargate.com and hit subscribe over there. Uh, that is how you support me. That is hopefully you'll find tremendous value over there too. It's where all my lessons and courses are. I'd really sincerely appreciate it. I'd love to be your online teacher. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry for the tech issues earlier. Have a great day.